Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
This is exactly how I imagine you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. Last week it was Katie Steele from Little Birdie. They're about to go on their massive 21st birthday tour. All those details on their socials. This week's been a really rough week for those in New South Wales. Flooding right up along the mid-north coast, including Taree, Kempsey, down along the Hunter River as well. We really feel for those people who are going through some real tough times over the next few weeks. And I'm wishing those communities all the best. One bloke who is from that part of the world is Phil Jamieson from Greenspoon. They've made a massive announcement. They're going on the 30th birthday Bonanza tour, celebrating 30 years. Remember this one? Now it starts in September all the way through to December. All those dates are online. Just go to Greenspoon's website. And also I'm hearing whispers they're going to be doing some massive gigs around towards late December into January as well. We've got some brand new music also this week. Yes, Yellow Card. Can you believe it?
I hope one day you say you don't want to run from better days.
It's so exciting. Yellow Card are back with a brand new album. They're going to be releasing a new album in the next couple of months, but you might have seen them here on their Ocean Avenue tour, and they were struck with health problems, which delayed some of the shows, but still incredibly exciting from a band who we thought were dead and buried. They are back together. Also, John Butler's back with new music. The new album, Prism, comes out in September. This is the first taste of that. So Sorry. Stand by for more tour dates for John Butler. That is new music, So Sorry.
This is The Rider.
This week on The Rider, so exciting to speak to this bloke who's just one of the most intriguing artists you'll ever know. Now, it was about 15 years ago we heard this song.
Yeah, but please note that we don't condone taking drugs. Summer days.
360 with his mate Pez, and it was the festival song, which was just one of those songs we kind of put into the soundtrack of that particular summer. He's got a brand new album coming out in July. New 360s. And he's been trickle feeding some of these songs on his socials and YouTube. This is Coastline. Also, this one, Save My Soul. 360's new album, Out of the Blue, comes out in July, and a bunch of those songs are already on Spotify. I can listen to those right now, and I've got him right here in front of me on the computer. There he is on Zoom, 360. It's so good to meet you for the first time.
Good to meet you too, man. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Sydney. Where are you?
I'm in Melbourne.
Nice. And you got your fifth album coming out real soon, and you've been working on this for a while. Is it one of those things that was a COVID project and now it's coming out? What's the deal?
So I started writing with Tyrone Harpy around 2021, I'd say.
Yeah.
2021, and we started making tunes. I released about 6 songs with him in 2022, or maybe it was 2023. And around that time is when we started working on the album. So it's been a few years in the making. Is
it nice though to not be in a total rush? Like, it's nice when you can do your things in your own time, and when you're sometimes working, with a record company where they've got deadlines, like full blown, we want this by December. I don't know if you always, you're able to deliver your best stuff sometimes.
Man, it's funny, when we were doing this, I remember my manager was like, yeah, we'll get you to turn this around in about 6 months. And brother, that is incredibly ambitious. I don't think I've ever had an album get done in the time frame that a label's tried to push it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it took us till like about 6 months ago to finish it.
Well, there you go. Because you've been trickle feeding it, obviously, the last few months on your socials, and you got a few clips and everything. So it's by the time it comes out, we've probably met about 4 or 5 of the songs already, which is really cool.
If you listen to all of my albums back to back, I feel like this is where my next album should go for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a lot more evolved. I think the songwriting is a lot better. I think my rapping is so much better. Like if I listen to my old music, I know every artist is probably like this, where they are highly critical of everything they've made in the past.
Yeah.
And I know I'm definitely like that, but if I'm being like objective at the same time, I can hear a lot of flaws in my rapping and my flow and the timing and all that. And I feel like it's taken me till now to really get to a point where I sound comfortable actually rapping on a beat, which is funny considering I've been doing it for so long. Like I feel like now it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I actually like this music.
Well, it's the same, with radio DJs as well. You always go back and listen to your tapes from 10 years ago, and you go, "Fuck, I sound so green," And we always criticize ourselves more than anyone. And it's interesting hearing from you as a musician. It's just the same thing.
Yeah, but it's part of the process, eh? Like you need to go through those periods of kind of sucking and just not getting it right. Otherwise, you don't know how to level up,
Tell me about the changes in your life sort of over the last few years as well, because I've been sort of catching bits and pieces from your podcast as well. And, obviously, things have changed for you where you've did I see you get baptized? Yeah, full on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and bro, it's so funny because I was so anti religion and was very anti Jesus for so long, and I've got so many songs where I'm mocking it and making fun of it all the time, and I've got a lot of songs where I'm wrestling with the concept, but I've always just had this wall up to religion specifically, so it's quite a surprise to get here. But the last 20 years for me have been a bit of a slog, like I think when I got into when music took off and I was launched into the spotlight, I really didn't handle that well. I thought that was going to be everything that I ever wanted. I thought money and fame was just I'd be fine once I had that. I thought, once I have all this money and I have all this fame and I have all the pick of women and all that kind of thing, then I'd be sorted and I'd be satisfied. And that just, you realize quite quickly that you're never satisfied with it. Like you're striving to get it, and then you get it, and you realize the only thing that's going to fill that hole is more of the same thing. And it's like this, you're constantly chasing your tail, trying to just get more of it. And then it's like through my career, it had so many high points that when I went through my low points, it was like I was constantly trying to chase that. It was like my self-worth and identity was tied to my success as an artist. So whether songs would go good or whether albums would go good would pretty much dictate my state of mind and my happiness. And fighting that has been a real battle, And so and also getting at the same time, like getting so caught up in drugs and the party life and all that. So I've been battling addiction and like for most of my adult life, and I was able to function and I was able to manage it through my 20s. And then about 5 years ago, it got to the point where it just spiraled out of control and I was like a mess. And this is just on prescription stuff, This
I was just going to ask you, is there something you don't realize you kind of addicted because it's the partying lifestyle where it's just, it's just normal. So you don't realize you've actually got a problem until at some point something comes up.
that's what happened with me. Like, we were always going on benders and just having fun, and I never really thought of it as an escape. I wasn't like trying to escape anything. I was just trying to make a fun time even more fun. And then out of nowhere, you get to the point where you can't go back. It's like you've crossed a line, and now you're an addict. And that's what happened to me, man. But it was like I was always into the partying, where I would go on big benders and drink a lot and do a lot of uppers and illicit drugs and stuff. But then when I would finish and have a come down, that's when I would really struggle. So I started dabbling in prescription pills, like painkillers and sleeping tablets and all that kind of thing. And that's where my poison was. It wasn't really the partying that was my issue. It was always the stuff that I was taking to come down. And then 5 years ago was when everything got out of control. I was really overweight. I was really depressed. Went to rehab for like 4 months. And then the last 5 years has been this process of trying to sort my life out. And I thought when I got out of rehab that it was going to be, I would hit the ground running and I would be fine. I would just get out of rehab, stop taking drugs, and be able to get my music career back. But it was a bit of a rude awakening when I got out. I still battled with it for a few years. I needed to sort my head out. I needed to really get stuck into the gym and sort out my physical health and my physical fitness, and then I could tackle all the mental stuff as well. Yeah. And then, to end up as a Christian was the last thing I expected, but I'm definitely grateful and happy that I got here.
I think it's good. I think whatever supports you and puts you on a good path is great. And forget all the bullshit, the rock and roll and all that stuff. You got to look after number one. And it's hard because when you're around your mates. Often the attitude is, oh, come on, mate, let's go out and party tonight, like old times. And it's hard to get out of that habit.
Yeah, 100%, man. And then when you get to that point, you realize those friends that you had around you during that period are not really people that you should be around or that had your best interests at heart, I guess.
I'm glad you're on the right track. It's interesting, though, when you sort of hit the 30s as well, it's like it's almost a bit less cool. You do get a point where it's like, I got to kind of grow up.
Yeah, it gets to the point where it's sad, It's like, it does get really pathetic pretty quickly when you're in your 30s. Yeah.
You wait till you're 40.
I'm nearly there, man.
It's your fifth album now. You come from humble beginnings, though, because I remember hearing the stories of early touring life, and it's not what everyone thinks it is. The best hotels and the best travel, you're all piling into a van and, you're unhealthy and you're drinking a lot. So early on doing the festival circuit and all that kind of stuff, it's great, but you don't get paid a lot,
No, it was, oh man. And even before the festivals and stuff, we were playing, like we were doing shows all the time, but we were playing to no one. Like there was no one there. I feel like for the first 2 or 3 years, we were just slogging away, just hoping this dream would come true, but it was just never really getting there. And it gets to the point where it's like, oh, if this doesn't start happening soon, I don't know if we can keep doing this, But then getting to that festival era, man, that was fun. Even though that, like, we weren't getting paid as much as we probably should have been at the time, considering how big those things were. And stuff like that, that was still a lot of fun. I missed that time because there was in Australia, there was 50 festivals a year. It was non-stop, and it was almost like a Renaissance era for live music. And then it just got so oversaturated that they all bailed.
Well, and also they were buying each other out, because that's kind of what killed I think the Big Day Out, first of all, was Soundwave buying Big Day Out, and then Soundwave was stretching themselves to pay for everything, and they had different deals, and then you had all the other festivals, Splendor being one of them, and it's so sad that's unlikely to come back as well.
Is that done now?
Well, they're selling the site. That's the latest update. They're selling at the Parkland. So, look, it's possible it might come back, and look, if it makes them money, it might, but if they're selling the land, I just don't know.
Man, that's really sad. Yeah, Splendor was awesome.
How many times did you play Splendor? Was it once or twice?
I think it's been twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and these are all the things you look back on and you go, God, it was so fun. And of course, you had the festival anthem. That was pretty much your breakthrough, wasn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
song,
That was the first taste of success, the festival song. It was that was like a little confirmation point where we've been working and grinding for so long and like visualizing all this stuff happening, and then that was the moment that it actually started to happen. It was like, oh, well, here we go. And then it was like, yeah, let's just keep going.
And then, you get a bit of airplay, you get on sort of, Triple J, people, it becomes an anthem and you hear people singing it. You're probably driving around, you're hearing it blaring out of cars and it's kind of cool to be the soundtrack of someone's summer.
Yeah. It's really interesting to think that too. Like, I don't know if it's like an imposter syndrome thing, but I often just find it hard to think that I've contributed to something like that, where people like people come up and say, "Oh man, your music was like the theme music for my teen years," or something like that. And I hear them saying it, and it's not like I think they're lying, but I doubt it for some reason. It's really weird, but it's great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, and and it's often the things you got to reflect on and go. It's when you hit a certain age and different stage and maybe have a family or whatever, you always look back on those years because it's so fun. What was the most rock and roll moment, by the way? Because you would have had some hell of a parties where people would have turned up and you wouldn't have expected, and you'd have some stories.
Man, there's a lot. There was, I don't want to sound like I'm glorifying it, but for the Big Day Out tour, I remember I got booked to do that whole thing, and I won't say specifics, but I was, I spent the entire fee partying and didn't sleep the entire time. It was just one non-stop party for that. And each time I performed, I remember getting off stage and my manager coming back and being like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it because you're smashing it. And I was like, well, okay. And that wasn't a good thing at all, but that was probably the most rock and roll thing for sure.
And it must be bizarre when it's a blur though, because you get off stage and you probably don't remember a thing about it. And that the manager comes up and goes, "Hey, great job, keep doing that." And it's like, I don't even remember the last half an hour.
Yeah. I can remember being really like in my element, and because I was on all these different substances, that my wall dropped and I was able to let go and kind of be a lot more free, where I feel like when I'm not drinking or partying, I have a bit more of a wall up in the sense of I don't like dancing too much and moving around. I feel a bit more stiff. So I definitely feel like I let loose when I was doing that.
Is it true about the Perth flight? They always talk about the party flight, which would have been Adelaide to Perth, I think, from memory, for the final leg of the tour. They always said that was the wildest flight you'll ever be on.
Possibly, I can't remember, to be honest.
So it's the fifth album coming out, and you got some serious issues you tackle, obviously, in this one. In fact, one of them I saw, I think, a couple of nights ago. You're kind of tackling Sodom and Gomorrah. That was the one where you're saying, people try to pigeonhole you as in a certain political way. The thing about the music industry I've discovered is it's not rebellious anymore when it comes to politics. Like, it used to be really about going against the grain and fighting for what's right and all that kind of thing. But the way it is now is if you don't fall into line with every other musician, you get called out and you get cancelled sometimes even, and it's so bizarre to see that happen.
Yeah, it is. Everything's sort of been flipped upside down. Like, what would you consider like traditional lefties are now considered far right and all that. Like, it's all been flipped on its head and doesn't really make much sense now. And it's like interesting, you see, I can't even remember the name of the band, but I think it was the Sex Pistols or something. The lead singer, he came out as being like, what has happened to the world when the right wing are the rebels now or something.
Yeah, if you don't fall into line, the whole entire music industry sees you as an outsider.
Yeah, for sure. And man, to be honest, I feel like it's gone so far left with the whole left and right politics. I think it's sort of swinging back the other way now. I feel like people are becoming a bit more like centered, I guess, like like people are realizing like for me personally, I don't understand how people can have either just straight left-wing views or straight right-wing views. Like for me, I've always had a mixture of both, you know what I mean? And it's kind of weird to expect that everyone should think the same, but I feel like the political landscape has almost become like people's religion. It's like their ideology.
Well, it's a footy team.
Yeah,
it's a footy team. That's exactly what it is.
Sets their framework for their whole value system. And if you go outside it, you're a heretic. And that's sort of what's happened a lot, you know? People are going outside it and then they're just fully outcasted from the entire scene. But I think they'd be shocked to find out that a lot of people actually don't fit into that mold anymore.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you've had different views from all different sides over the years, and you've put you stuck your neck out a few times, like you're criticizing rap music in general and homophobia and the lyrics of it, and you've come out and made some really important calls in a way. And I'm sure your manager, what did your manager say? Does your manager encourage you to say things, or do you get told, hey, just tone it down a little bit?
Oh man, it's interesting especially when I start talking about faith and that. I feel like a lot of people have been like, "You sure about this, man? You're going to be alienating a lot of people by talking like this." And it's just like I've just got to be honest and just share what's going on. I've always been like that. I've always just shared whatever is happening and just whatever's on my mind and what I'm going through. And I think I'll always do that. Yeah.
And it's always interesting hearing about those conversations behind the scenes. And I think it's good where you can generally say what you want, and you got to have that sort of the creative freedom in a way to do that. And ultimately, what you put out on a record is it goes through so many separate hands and approvals. You're not just throwing it out there. I think one of your biggest achievements was that song where you used the Sia sample, and it's a huge problem in Australia is DV, and there's been so many campaigns over the years with just trying to educate Aussie blokes to sort of, even bringing up their sons the right way and just showing them what a respectable man should do and how he should treat his wife and or girlfriend. And I think what you did in that song was one of your greatest moments.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And man, that song, like I never ever thought that was going to have the impact that it has. Like the amount of people that have come up to me and shared that like they left their abusive husband because of lyrics in that song. That kind of stuff blows my mind, man. Absolutely. But yeah, everything you said is so right, man. It's like we're at the point now where masculinity itself has become, I think, probably demonized and bastardized from the inside out, but it needs to be, you need people representing it properly, because true masculinity isn't about hurting innocent people and isn't about domestic violence at all. Like it's the opposite of that, I think
men find it hard at times to be a man, but it doesn't mean you take it out on someone you love. And
never.
I think your lyrics were really important in that song. And as you said, if it encouraged women to leave a situation like that, you've done your job.
Thank you for saying that, man. I really appreciate that.
Was that one put out as a spontaneous thing?
Yeah, I remember hearing the Sia sample and being like, this, it just triggered a lot of emotion. And at the time, I had someone who had a family member going through exactly what I was talking about. So it was like a message directly to them. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, I was literally rapping, like I wrote it like I was rapping it at them, like trying to tell them. And, but that sample, man, like I feel like looking back, I wish I had have cleared that and made that into a proper song instead of just being a YouTube rap,
By the way, the Eminem thing, did that really happen? You were told not to speak to him backstage when you supported. What was it, 2014, I think, from memory, something like that, 2015?
Yeah, it was around 2014, 2015, I think. And man, we were under strict instructions. If we see him, not to approach him. But, you know, after that whole experience and seeing how almost, you know, the song Stan?
Yeah.
He had so many fans that were coming to every single show, and they had the blonde hair, they had the same tattoos, they wore the white wife beater. It was like they were all Stans, man. And when I actually went on their profile and saw some of the stuff they were sharing, I was like, oh, this is understandable. He's like Michael Jackson level of fame, where he would rock up with a police escort, and he had to be kind of concerned, especially in the rap world, I think, because people just are so obsessed with him. He could face some real kind of stalky behavior.
And the thing is too, behind the layers of management, often the artist is actually quite easygoing and would be more than happy to hang out. But often it's the big managers who are like, no, we need to protect him and bubble wrap.
Yeah, for sure. At the last one, he was there, and we like saw him in distance, which was a trip. But M Phases, who's Aussie producer, he was invited in there to get photos and hang out with him and stuff like that, because I think he produced for him on his like recent record back then or something like that. So that was cool that at least he got in there.
And look, I've had a few sort of moments hanging out with big bands and everything. It's funny how backstage it is quite chilled out, and it's not like spa baths, jacuzzis, and open bars or anything like that. But it's often a real family atmosphere while everyone's waiting to go on stage. It's nowhere near how people fantasize rock and roll is.
Maybe when people are young and they're first coming out, but these days my experience is the same. Like, people are drinking herbal teas and just chilling. Like, it's not that loose anymore. I feel maybe it's like been a bit of a shift in the culture. I'm not too sure.
Everyone talked about the big day out backstage was kind of fun though, because it was the coming together of all these different genres and mates who haven't caught up in many years. So often it was kind of like a reunion tour almost for a lot of people.
That's very blurry for me.
I'll never bring it up again. This tour coming up, do you have to get match fit? Is this something you prep for?
Yeah. I'm doing I'm doing like 3 kickboxing sessions a week to get my fitness up. I've been rehearsing. Probably I'm the most prepared I think I've ever been for a tour. I've got my set down already, which is pretty unheard of this far out. It's only a few months away, but I've been like trying to do something different. Like, usually I would approach it trying to have a bit of a flow about it and like space out the crowd favorites and have a bit of a high and low points and just go in and out. But this one, I'm trying to tell a bit of a story with it, so it's going to be totally different to anything I've done.
It's a bit harder these days too, because there's so much dependence on the screens and everything and the visuals that you can't stray from the set list really much at all, can you? Because it's sort of, if you're rehearsing with the visuals and all that kind of stuff, is there a bit of freedom with that, or are you pretty much stuck?
I think you like the set list can change, but once you've got the visuals for a song locked in, you can't change that song. You can't change the order or anything like that. So you are locked into those songs completely. Yeah. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I always wondered about that. And, I think everyone's pretty excited about having, you guys back on the road. It's, you're obviously in a really good zone. Is there obviously much on a rider now? Now you come through the other side. Is it tea and mineral water?
And it is. There's literally no alcohol. There's like these, I don't even know what they're called, like aloe vera face wipes or something like that.
Yeah.
They're on there. So it's all just chill stuff, man. And I think Hydrolyte might be one as well.
You are saving a lot of money, by the way. You realize that?
Yeah. It's a good thing to go in there and be like, all right, what do I need and what do I need to stack up on? I
was going to ask you, I sort of had a similar experience with my family before going off and doing radio, because, your mum or your dad, they always want you to be a doctor or something stupid. But what's it like telling your family you're going to try rap when they've got you obviously going down another path?
Man, I started rapping when I was 14 and I became obsessed with it, right? And my parents are quite conservative. It was kind of cute when I look back on it. Like, I remember they didn't think it was anything to be worried about. But then when I was like 15 and 16, I started entering rap battle competitions, and they let me do that because they were underage. But then when I was 16, I was doing shows at the Laundry Bar, and they were so freaked out about it. They would drive, but still supportive, you know, like they still drove me in. They had to be there because I was underage, so they would chill out the front. I would go in and I'd rap, and then I'd have to leave straight away. But they hated it. But I was so passionate and so in love with the art that they still let me do it, which is really cool. And even through my 20s, they were like, "This isn't a proper job, you know. You got to get a proper job, but we'll still support you. And if it doesn't work out, then you can get a job later." Luckily, it ended up working out.
How good is that? Because there are many who, you know, wouldn't be that supportive, and because parents know best, and you know that's kind of, you know, how they see themselves. But to be able to say, "Hey, give it a go," and if it doesn't work out, it'll be all right. You know, we'll look after you.
Yeah, and luckily, my brother was an instrumental part of that too. Because like I remember playing the music and being like, we are going to be the biggest rappers in this country, and like trying to convince them, and they just thought I was crazy. And then my brother was like, "No, he's actually got something. Like you got to trust him." And then they were like, "All right, we'll trust him because of that."
Yeah,
which is huge. Shout out to Dave.
Also, what's it like being a white guy starting off when you're that young? Because like now you got the tats and you got the look and you got the swagger, but when you're 14, you know, you're this sort of like pimply little kid.
And back then, man, Aussie rap especially wasn't popular like it is now. Like, rap in general wasn't even popular back then. Like a bit of Eminem and stuff like that was, but it was more gangster rap. I remember in my basketball team, they'd all make fun of me, man. Like you can imagine the word that they used, and I get that everywhere I would go. They were just like, everyone was just thought I was some try-hard kid. But yeah, I was probably the only one out of my whole school that was actually into it, you know. But now if you look at how far it's come, like every kid's rapping now, like it's a huge genre now. So it's interesting. Is
it kind of cool, by the way, because we all have kids in high school who we clashed with and got bullied or whatever. Were there any moments where someone who might have wronged you in high school came up to you, or maybe you saw them in the crowd or something cool like that? Did that ever happen to you?
I had a moment where I was working as an apprentice, and I remember I quit my job, and I was like telling them that I was going to be a rapper and I was going to be a successful rapper. And the dude, the guy who ran the company, his son was just clowning on me and fully ripping into me. And I remember that being a thing where I was like calling him out on stage, clowning him back, like, look what happened, mate, you know. But yeah, and I ran into him later, and it was very uncomfortable and very awkward, but no hard feelings.
No, but it's awesome. It's a great feeling though.
Yeah, absolutely. To be told you're never going to, and then actually doing it is like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Exactly. Well, mate, congratulations. The 5th album comes out of the blue in July. The tour all through July as well. You can check out all the songs as well on your socials as well, and it's going to be a great tour, and we can't wait to see you back on the road. And look, congratulations on how everything's worked out in the last few years as well, and it's obviously a big change for you, and I think everyone's right behind you.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that, and this was a great interview as well. Very well researched.
Good.
Love it.
Thanks, mate. All right. Well, Matt, all the best, and I'll see you in Sydney in July.
Awesome, Brian. Have a good one.
See what I mean? What an interesting guy. That is 360. Or no to his mate says, Matt, his new album comes out in July, Out of the Blue, his 5th album. A bunch of those songs already on Spotify. And the Out of the Blue tour, July through to August. Make sure you give The Rider a follow on Instagram, The Rider Pod. In the next few weeks, a few surprises. In fact, a member of Five Sauce has gone solo with a brand new album. We'll talk to him soon and we'll catch you then. This is The Rider with Becko.